Could you say another word or two about how that is all working, or how you see that international project working in league with one another to support one another in these claims?
Well, yeah, I mean, I participate in a broadcast every Sunday of Africans from all over the diaspora. It comes out of England with or UK, I guess they don't like me to call it England. Glenroy Watson, a labor leader there, is a good friend of mine, and we just talk. We just talk. We just talk. We talk for an hour about what's going on all aspects of the continent, the Caribbean and Europe, Venezuela. The fact the talk last week was about Venezuela and the revolution it is taking place there in one very way. But I learned a lot. I think so. You intellectually support your colleagues around the country. You should also, as I told my students, us and others, I said all of us should have what I call a Pan-African project. That you do something that is international. I do something it's small, but I've been overjoyed about it. I buy malaria nets throughout Africa that I pay a little bit each month for that, and other things as well.
What the fuck does any of this have to do with you and me getting reparations?
I think in terms of the international movement relative to reparations, I think that we should just be joined up.
Oh, absolutely fucking nothing.
There is one specific question to something that I think I raised, a critique of it, that I'd be interested in having you or each of us address, because first of all, I think the question somewhat misrepresents my point, but I would be interested that the Cali House movement exclusively focused on relief for the aging freedmen. So that's not true that but my point isn't that a reparative project focused specifically on Africans or Black people here makes it non-international. What my point would be is that the Cali House movement overall was supported by an international struggle of African people resisting enslavement. And as I've learned in reading your work and others about the history of Belinda, also advocating specifically for reparations. Exactly. Making cases and making arguments referencing other cases that were happening throughout the diaspora. So it's not to say that a reparative project wouldn't be focused specifically on Black people here, or Africans in Brazil, or Africans in Panama, or Africans elsewhere, but it would be to say that each one of those efforts is supported and buttressed and made stronger by support of an international movement. Professor Winbush?
No, I agree with that. I mean, that kind of critique, that's like a 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep critique, I call them, because it's like saying that the Montgomery bus boycott wasn't an international Pan-African movement. I mean, but it is in the keeping of struggle that Africans have had throughout the globe. We have struggled in Namibia and South Africa, and I see all of those important for the overall global international struggle of Africans against white oppression.
This is the goofy ass Pan-African doublespeak. So apparently anything that Black people do around the globe is interconnected with everything else that Black people do. So when they say it's an international effort, they don't have to mean that literally. Now the question then becomes, if that's the case, then wouldn't any effort that's being made by ADOS also be a part of this Pan-African shit, even if we don't necessarily embrace Pan-Africanism?
I think that like the CARICOM community, the Caribbean community, is very organized about reparations, but they also help us and we help them. And we've been cooperative in a lot of different ways. I did a workshop with Hilary Beckles in Scotland and was surprised a few years ago and was surprised to see several African people in Europe with their own reparation struggle. So we help each other.
Apparently, this great work that these motherfuckers is doing is when these academics get paid to go overseas and do a bunch of fucking talking. How does this lead to the action of the American government repairing the harm that is fucking done to our people? By the way, the question was about who pays reparations to who. And CARICOM is very clear that they want reparations paid to the Caribbean people. They ain't making no motherfucking argument about how all black people on the fucking globe need to be paid reparations. And this motherfucker doesn't even have the decency to keep it real with you about that shit.